of Shang-Chi, I think this is a wonderful time to now finally reflect on the overall MCU up to this point. For those that might not have known, the last time that we did this 2 years ago, right before the pandemic happened, I came up with a ranked list of my MCU films with the idea that it's not so much necessarily what film is better. This is just what I would prefer to watch if I had two movies in front of me. Like, I knew what my bottom was and I knew what my top was. And from there, it became a battle of like, which would I prefer one over the other? So, Barney, if we could please bring up the original list before I showcase the updated one. This is the recap list from 2019 of what I had made. I had Avengers Endgame at the top, which is no surprise. I had Thor: The Dark World on the bottom. And as a reminder to everyone down below, the 4 movies that came out this past year, Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, and Spider-Man No Way Home, are set to be added to this list momentarily. I will preface, I chose not to include the TV shows in this particular list because, one, I cannot wait to see how they play into future film properties like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, but also it feels a little unfair to compare stories that range from 2.5 to 3 hours to stories that last 6 hours, depending on whatever series you're watching on Disney Plus. So I'm not ready to include those in quite yet. I may never necessarily. We're just sticking strictly with the movies, but this is your friendly reminder of what I've done so far. Now, Barney, if we could please pull up the updated ranked list.
I want to do some very, very small predictions here, though, with the crew.
Oh, sure. Yeah, please.
What do we think, guys? Do we think how many of these do we think are going to make it into
I still think
Merrick's,
Endgame's still going to be number 1 for him.
I think that's probably true.
Because he's a sucker for crossovers.
That's why I think
he had me watch.
Going to be number 2.
You think No Way Home's going to be 2?
I think No Way Home's going to be number 4.
I think Shang-Chi is going to be in the top 5. Top 5.
I think it's going to be the top 10.
Oh, this is fun.
Top 10, maybe.
I think Shang-Chi will be top 10. I think Black Widow, that's probably more reasonable. Maybe. Eternals, not. And Spider-Man No Way Home is going to be somewhere near the top. All right, well,
thank you for that. No, I forgot about that completely. No, I should have asked, like, what do we think is going to happen?
Without further ado, the new list looks like this.
Ta-da!
Spider-Man No Way Home up into 3rd place.
I was close.
We have Shang-Chi at number 12 behind Thor Ragnarok.
Wow.
So Thor Ragnarok has been pushed out of the top 10. Black Widow follows closely behind with Shang-Chi. I have Eternals in between Iron Man 3 and Ant-Man and the Wasp. And I'll just take a brief second because obviously we'll work from the top down. With Spider-Man No Way Home, I personally decided that obviously I knew it was going to be really up there for me even before seeing this movie, so I wasn't surprised, but it really came down to like what I felt was, I guess, the best example of culmination of events and payoff for things, and Infinity War just really barely edges it out, honestly. Like, Spider-Man No Way Home did a great job of taking other universes and putting it into this climactic moment, but Avengers Infinity War, took a lot of these films prior and made it cohesive enough to get to this point enough. So it really was very close, and I went back and forth on it, but I kind of flipped an internal coin in my head and came to the conclusion that No Way Home for me is 3, but that could change with a second watch through, but right now Infinity War just edges it out a little bit. And Shang-Chi and Black Widow I didn't have in the top 10. It was kind of comparatively of like which one would I prefer to watch over the other, and I love Shang-Chi and I love the Mandarin and I loved the story that came up with Black Widow, but I just felt they were very close and like being really well done. Really, all of these films are good. It's just varying degrees of how good they all are, in my opinion. There's no bad MCU movie. It's just kind of which one would I prefer if I had one in front of me. I'll just add in with Eternals that I kind of was comparing it to like which space movie in the MCU did I like the most, and I still felt that the Guardians movies were better than Eternals, but like it came down to like how deep or down the list do I go, and I just felt like I would watch the Eternals over the 2 Ant-Man movies, and that's kind of where it sat for me. That was my deciding factor.
I'm sorry,
see for
boys, couch boys.
Yes.
Would you?
I would throw Eternals all the way at the my movie.
Here's my
oh my god, did I hate that movie.
Here's my real question.
And as for Ant-Man and the Wasp, I would watch Ant-Man and the Wasp just to hear the Truth Serum joke again. Because I love that joke.
That was funny.
But Wayne, hear me out here. Thor and Thor 2. Now, I know everyone hates Thor 2, but would either of you put Captain America, the first Avenger, above both of those movies?
Yes, actually.
So here's the thing. I went back and rewatched Thor and...
You asked the same damn question 2 years ago, Barney. I have it on
Was I
tape.
talking to you, Merrick?
No, he wasn't. So I rewatched Captain America 1 a little while ago. And I also I showed someone for the first time Thor 1.
Mm-hmm.
And Thor 1 has one of my favorite scenes, I think, in the entire first phase of MCU. And it's the part where Anthony Hopkins and Chris Hemsworth basically try to outact each other.
Yes.
At the part when he's getting his powers ripped away from him.
Yeah.
I love that scene. It's probably one of my favorite scenes in the MCU. Because it shows how angry he is.
Chris Hemsworth, I'm an actor too. And Anthony Hopkins, sit down.
Sit down, child. Sit down. So I don't think I would put it above Captain America because I love Captain America 1. But I do think... Can I see the list again?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Can you see the screen?
Now we can. Yep.
Yeah, there we go.
Where's Captain America?
Captain America's at 23.
23.
23. Okay, because
A lot of the MCU movies, it's funny. The Phase 1 MCU movies are kind of really next to each other in a lot of ways.
I feel like Thor would be above Iron Man 2.
It wouldn't be?
It would.
It is.
Oh, then yeah.
Yeah, 24 is Thor. 25 is Iron Man 2. I agree with that relative placement.
I still think The Eternals is one of the worst comic book movies I've ever watched in my entire life.
All right, before we get off the
I will
Spider-Man
never
topic
ever get sick of ripping on The Eternals.
Too
Where,
much.
Wayne? Go ahead. Barney.
What was I going to say? Oh yeah, favorite Spider-Man. Someone else said Andrew Garfield also. I'm an Andrew Garfield
I'm an Andrew Garfield fan.
guy. What would you if you have to pick your number one? Who is it?
For me,
Yeah, for all of you.
are we talking
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man live action or non-live action?
I'll take anything.
Yuri Lowenthal.
The video game. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Either Yuri Lowenthal or the other one, Josh Keaton from Spectacular Spider-Man.
Cool.
Parker, what do you got?
Your Lowenthal knocked it out of the park.
Oh, he was so good. Especially seeing how he's Sasuke and Naruto.
Right.
Crazy.
Believe it.
Jack and Trevor are both in the chat. They both say Tom Holland. Trev says Tom Holland hands down, and Jack also says Yuri Lowenthal. Didn't know he was on the table.
I think of the ones that appeared in this most recent movie, I will go Tom Holland because I think he balanced best the responsibility of Tobey Maguire and kind of being the friendly neighborhood man of the hero Spider-Man of Andrew Garfield.
That's true. I can agree with that.
I think like the most memorable scene to me of Amazing Spider-Man was actually the scene where Spider-Man Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man is injured and he's got to somehow swing to the bad guy, and then all of the construction workers align their girders so that he can swing. It's cheesy as all fuck.
See, like that
but
scene,
it's great.
That scene when I saw it, I was like, man, that's just Spider-Man 1 move. You mess with one New Yorker, you mess with them all.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
Spider-Man
yeah,
1.
but
I was
like-
like, that's the same scene. Why are you redoing this again? And then Spider-Man 2, I think
It was more dramatic in this one though. Like I think they actually outdid the one in Spider-Man.
Spider-Man 2, I think someone told me when it first came out, Spider-Man's only in the movie for like 25 minutes. Or something.
I've only seen it once, but wow.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me because going back and
It makes
thinking
sense.
about
It does
he's
make sense.
barely he's
the
barely
writing was
even
uneven.
Spider-Man in that movie. Like I liked him when he was Spider-Man. One of my favorite Spider-Man scenes in the whole like live action Spider-Man is the part when in the very beginning of Amazing Spider-Man when he's stopping the Rhino from robbing the truck. 'Cause that was actually funny
fun.
and I was like, wow, watching Spider-Man, this is great.
That was a fun scene.
That was a fun scene, and then you get 2 hours of being bored out of your life, and then you get to see Emma Watson, freaking Gwen Stacy die.
Emma Stone, yeah.
Oof.
I was like, where's Spider-Man in my goddamn Spider-Man movie?
Like the movie, it did leave us depressed at the end of the movie. That was
Right.
like I know you're supposed to get a sequel. It was just that wasn't a good way to end.
I remember being.
And
like,
I'm
was
glad
rough.
this movie managed to like give Andrew Garfield Spider-Man some closure.
Absolutely.
Oh.
That was the main thing. Like I cried at this movie a lot more than I have, I think, than any other MCU movie.
I almost
And
cried.
I think a big part of it was that resolution for
Andrew Garfield.
Andrew's
Yeah.
character, and the fact that he got to save
MJ.
this MJ, and it felt right.
For me, it's Tom. And it's not necessarily about which actor's doing it better necessarily. It really comes down to what the overall production team is providing this specific Peter Parker. In that, there are great moments with both Toby as Peter and moments with Andrew as Spidey. Spider-Man is meant to interact with other Marvel superheroes, to me. And to have that play out here in this universe, that it's just how Spider-Man should be. And if they're choosing to go the route of this, having this Spider-Man interact with other heroes in order to become a better hero himself, I will take that. It's kind of unfair, especially with the body of work that we've gotten up to this point. 3 Spider-Man films, as well as other appearances in other 3. So he's had like 6 film appearances thus far. It's Tom. And it's not close. It's not fair. It's not necessarily just comparatively to the other 2, because to the points that have been made in this show, other Spider-Man actors have brought something new to the table, which is exciting. That's what you were supposed to do as an actor, bring something different to the table that hasn't been done before. But Tom has the unfair advantage of having a studio who truly knows what they're doing.
So do you think in the Fantastic Four movie that Spider-Man's going to try to join the Fantastic Four? Because that's what he did for his very first comic book by himself.
Ooh.
Because now he's on his own. And
No, I don't think they're. I don't think.
I think he's used to join. I think he's used to fighting in teams.
Oh yeah,
So
that is actually interesting.
Because in the comic books,
That is interesting, yeah.
Spider-Man and Johnny Storm are like best friends.
As long as we get the bombastic Bagman,
Well,
I'm set.
No, see, he has to lose the black Spider-Man suit, and then he goes see the Fantastic Four. Reed Richards then gives him the Fantastic Four suit, and he puts a bag over it, and that's how you get the bombastic Bagman.
They're setting it up perfectly.
I still like Trevor's idea of the symbiote bringing back Killmonger.
I love that idea
Michael B.
too.
Jordan back.
Because Michael
B. Jordan will come back.
Oh yeah.
Whoa. Welcome to the end of the Knights of the Dirty Table video that you just watched. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe to our channel, like our video, share with all your friends, and catch our live stream every Friday live at 5, only on the Zenden Studios Twitch channel. I gotta go wander off into space. See ya! Whoa! Whoa!